I teach a lot of different types of students. I teach beginners, and I teach intermediate, and I teach advanced. So I have to change that up, and I have to learn the material really well to be able to explain it to people in different levels. So for a beginner, believe it or not, it is super simple to boil down these concepts. And that's what I do by teaching the caged method. So that is spelling out the word caged with the 5 chord shapes. C, A, G, E, D. Okay, so those are the 5 shapes. Okay, now let's stay in the key of C. C is your tonic. Okay, so then the C chord is this. So now chords are formed from scales. The C major scale is all the white notes on a keyboard. Okay, so that is this scale. Notice my fingers, I'm trying to use the most efficient finger pattern. Now, this scale, I'm going to tell you what the note names are. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, end on the C. That's an octave. It's 8 steps away. It is 12 chromatic steps away. Just like an open E, 12 chromatic steps away, you get to the E here on the same string. So an octave in math terms is going to be 8 based off of the scale steps. Scales are typically 7 notes for the major scale. Now, since I gave you the names, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, now I'm going to give you numbers instead of names. It's the same thing, it's just I'm putting a number instead of a name. Now it's 1, because that's our root, also known as the tonic for the key we're in. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, octave, C again, 1 again, 8 equals 1. I'm going to tune. Okay, so now I put numbers to the scale. Okay, so now you've probably heard about chords. And how are chords made? Well, they're made from stacking individual note intervals. In the C chord, C major is made by stacking the 1, the 3rd, and the 5. So how do you get chords? In the scale, we start with C. 3 steps away is E, and then 5 steps away from C is G. Now, everything else is a cascading effect. So now the next step in the C major scale is D. So now D is your temporary root, your home base. So then 3 steps away from D is F. Okay, so now 3 steps away from D is F, and then 5 steps away from D, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is A. So then D, F, A is the D minor chord. Next step in the C major scale is E. E is now your root, your starting point. So now 3 steps away from E is E, F, G, and then 5 steps away from E is B. E, F, G, A, B. So then E, that is your E minor. Now F, your root, that is F is your temporary root. 3 steps away from F is A. 5 steps away from F is C. Then G. Let's do this to resemble a chord. G, B, D. That's your root. 3 steps away, and then 5 steps away from your root. Okay? Then A minor, 6, is minor. That is A. That is the 6th degree. Then C. Then E. So A minor is built off of A, C, and E. Now we're going to leave out the B, the 7th scale degree, because that's diminished. You can explain that a whole bunch of ways. You're not going to get many diminished chords in pop music right now unless you're learning Beatles tunes. So basically, you only have to learn 6 chords from the major scale. The 1, the 4, the 5, and then the 2, 3, and 6. And then pop music in the West is typically a 1-4-5 progression. That's what blues is. One chord, 4 chord, 1 chord, 5 chord, and then A minor. That's your 6, 4, 1, 5. So if you can play the chords 1, 4, 5, and then either a minor 6 or a minor 2, you can play just about everything you're hearing in pop music today. So then you can just use a capo and transpose. Now the capo is going to get you out of root position down here and move up the neck, even though the relationship's still going to be the same, you know. So if I put a capo on the 2nd fret, well, your fingers are physically moving up 2 frets up from where they were, but your relationship to the capo is still exactly like your relationship back here. The capo is your new nut, but it gets you moving on the guitar. But there's so many songs that are 1, 4, 5, and then they throw in that 6, and that's it. So the key is just to understand the theory to the point where you're learning songs, because when you're learning songs, you're playing the guitar, and when you're playing the guitar, you're constantly learning. Your hands are working together, your brain is thinking. So I don't want to say that capos are like a training wheel on a bike, but capos are a tool to get you out of a zone of the guitar to move around. And then you can use tools. It is not like training wheels in this regard, because you can use capos to transpose and you can play more complicated things. You can use 2 capos, you can do all that. That's in a few other videos I've done. But this is just basically for my students that are brand new. I basically have to start with them learning the 5 chords of caged, the shapes, And then they move those all around the fretboard. And then the actual chords out of the major scale, the 1, the 4, the 5 are the major ones. The 2, the 3, the 6 are the minor ones. So again. And that will get you playing a ton of songs. There's so many songs. So once you start looking up tunes and you start looking up the music or the tab or whatever, you'll see the chords. You'll see on the music, on the tab, what the chords are. And you'll start noticing, once you understand the music theory behind it, that how these chords are related are, you got to have a root, which is your 1. You got to have a key, which is your tonic. And then everything is math off of that as far as steps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And that's it. So that's the first installment. And if there's a million videos about this, but honestly, they kind of go over people's head and they don't understand how to use it. I want people to understand the tools to use it to play tunes. And I'll be getting into tunes, breaking them down like that are super simple. And then I can also take that super simple tune and use that same idea to learn one that's not super simple. So those will be coming up. Hope this helped. Thanks for tuning in. Cheers.